Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Ain't That Right? I'm your host, the Duncan Dad, Mr. Duncan Dad. We've just been rebranded, I guess. Who knows? Welcome in on this beautiful, blustery Thursday here in the Northeast. The wind is picking up. The cool, crisp air is coming down from Canada. The jet stream is doing its job. Snowflakes and flurries across the Poconos, across much of the upper Midwest. Winter, winter, you are arriving just in time for the Thanksgiving holiday. I want to shout out everyone out there who is celebrating, everyone who's traveling, and who's wrapping up their academic semester as we get ready to head home for the holidays. Kids who are listening, studying, do your best. Put in the effort, put in the work, make your connections, network, colleagues, entrepreneurial adventures. Go out, do it, show up for everything that's offered for you because there's going to be a time in your life where you may not necessarily have the time to do that. And this is a really, really good opportunity to, you know, hitch your wagon to some of these horses and really project later out on in life. I know my beautiful alumni out there at Loyola Chicago um, put up their little Christmas tree, their decorations. It's a multicultural campus, yes, but it's rooted in the Jesuit tradition. So there is going to be a little more of that going on. Anywho, it's good to see everybody together. It's good to see everybody back again. Our chat is already taking off this morning. We'll have Rick in there and Brian in there and Penguin in there. We have lots of guys across Southern Florida who are doing really, really amazing work right now. Shout out to the boss man, Angel Martinez, really kicking butt, taking names with University of South Florida. Also Dylan Spalding. Also Kyle Brown. Kyle, shout out, buddy. Media manager out there taking videos, talking to Coach Gruden. Great guy. Ran into him with Miss L over last Super Bowl in New Orleans. Kind of did like the real quick, cheesy selfie picture with him. A great guy, totally authentic, and he gives you the time of day. He'll talk to you, man. He's a great conversation. Obviously, he's got some Philly roots, so we will never turn anybody down from Philadelphia. Well, I don't know, maybe a couple people, but big news in the world of sports was the MLB is getting ready to release all of its rewards. Excuse me, 1 second. Oh, you guys didn't need to see that. Change of season. Had a sneeze, you know what I'm saying? I didn't project that out for you guys. Uh, MLB end of year awards. Paul Skeens, unanimous Cy Young Award winner. Tyreek Skubal from Detroit, even though they didn't close the deal versus the Mariners, he gets his. Shout out to Christopher Sanchez from the Phillies. All 30 second place votes. Two great young pitchers in the National League. Hopefully, years and years of success. But got me thinking because that's what we like to do, right? We like to think on this program a little bit, and we like to tailor in a little bit of the sports. I was like, how do we go about ourselves? Like, how do we recognize like our successes, right? Because a lot of times it's metrics, right? This guy had so many wins, this guy had so many losses, strikeouts, WAR, all the analytics. I mean, if you want to get into that stuff, it, whatever. Basically, the quantitative data is saying you perform the best. Okay, well, like, what about everybody else? Right? Like, what about the guys who aren't walking away with the hardware? How and why is it important that we have these healthy forms of self recognition? Because it gets to be kind of complicated at times, and it's not necessarily something that you've done to yourself. And I'm not going to throw the blame on other people because, you know, it's all part of the same puzzle. When we have this healthy, like, and that's the key word because we all know that we have uh, gone out and had the celebratory drinks. We've had the celebratory cigars. We've had the celebratory parties in whatever manner that is. But like, there is a point where it's like, hmm, I've had, the two drinks. It's now gotten away from being an acknowledgement of what's been accomplished or what the journey is, and it's kind of stepping over the lines a little bit. So, like, how and why is it important? And why is it important to reward ourselves in these ways? Because I don't know about you, but I'm not going to get the Cy Young Award. And they're not going to come to me and be like, "You're the greatest baseball fan in the world. You're the greatest Eagles fan in the world." I mean, teams do, fan of the year, but listen, shout out to Philly sports guys, shout out to Jamie, shout out to Rock. Like, I'm not face painting. My fandom is different than those guys. But how then can I give myself some self recognition? Because it's essential, right? Like, it shapes how we relate to ourselves, right? The whole theory of, like, you tell a dog it's a bad dog, it's going to be a bad dog. You tell, the plant it's a good plant, the plant's going to grow. There's power in the words, there's power in what you say to yourself, how you see yourself. It gives us this internal anchor of persistence as challenges come up, how we define our success. Because you might be the greatest producer in the world. You might be the best salesperson in the world. You might be top of your game in your office, number two in your office. You might not get recognition for that. Just doing your job, just meeting the bottom line. So if we don't find some ways and the reasons why we're doing something, we'll burn out, man. You'll burn out quick. And you've seen this, right? We've all seen the shooting stars in our collective career path, business, and relationships, right? Boom, it takes off. It is like a firework, man. Let's go, hit the ground running. Everything's great. Bing, bang, boom, boom. And all of a sudden, it just fizzles and it's gone. And then you're standing there, you know, with your in your hand, and you're like, "Whoa, what, what happened? Where'd it go? Did I do something wrong? Was something wrong with the journey? Did I not see something?" Uh, spin, 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 spiral, spiral. And like, oh, hold on a second. I've got some ways to recognize what happened, what went on, and what went on. This healthy self recognition, right? It builds this stability, right? Inner stability, not just the external validation, right? The external validation is great, man. Everybody likes getting the little piece of chocolate, the gold star and the gold sticker, right? We're brought up like that. He had perfect attendance. Little Susie spelled all the words correct. Well, I feel like crap. Thanks to Mrs. Watto. Not to throw Mrs. Watto on the bus, she was a great teacher, but just the first one that came to mind, like first grade. She's probably doing really well for tons of grandkids at this point. She's a big family. But no, but you are taking on these ways of self-identification and ways that you may not always be the best. How do you get past that? Right? We have this inner stability. We have this healthy way of acknowledging our effort, our progress, and our values, right? Things that are important to us, things that mean something to us, things that if you stripped everything else away, they still stand there and it's still who you are, regardless of all the outside factors. Why? Because it protects you. It keeps things safe. You're not dependent on the praise. You're not dependent on the 35,000 likes on X. Hey, bring them on. It's good for business, right? You're not comparing all the time. What you're doing is of a noble and just cause, and you are succeeding and plowing ahead forward for the right reasons. Right? Having these healthy recognitions, like, it sustains us when things aren't always the best. Right? It says, like, just because you didn't get the trophy doesn't mean you're not valuable. You start seeing yourself, listen, like, I'm trying. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep forging ahead. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't call out things that are aggressive or abusive against you. We're not talking about that. We're talking about internally to yourself, right? It reduces this idea of, like, shame or a self-fulfilling prophecy or self-sabotage, right? 9 times out of 10, like, we're so geared since we're little kids to be like, you reward yourself for performance. right? You reward yourself for attaining the goal. Now, granted, should there be recognition for that? Absolutely. Absolutely, there should be recognition for that. But the majority of individuals, you're not getting the recognition. You're not getting outside recognition. So what happens is we're in the cycle of self-criticism and self-shame and, oh my gosh, how did this happen? What am I doing? I'm so bad, blah, 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 blah. And that blah, 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 blah is what digs you deeper and deeper and deeper. Your healthy recognition. I'm doing okay. I'm learning. I'm showing up every day. I'm giving my best effort. I'm honestly giving my best effort. And I'm not just saying I'm giving my best effort because we're going to get to that later, right? But if we only reward ourselves when we meet a standard or we meet a goal that's set by someone else and we rely on that, there's this shame cycle, this blame cycle. You want to break that, right? You want to cut that cord. You want to interrupt that. You want to be compassionate. You want to be accountable to yourself, though. You want to acknowledge both your efforts and your limits. So many times, and it strikes a chord with me because there has been a movement, I will say, to where I'll say it started with, I guess, my generation, and we were told like you could be anything in the world that you want to be. You can grow up and you can be president. That's a great, noble thing. Whether or not someone wants to do that nowadays, completely subjective. The fact of the matter is, from an early age, now how it's communicated to you, this is part 3 and 4 that's coming up. It will definitely shape you. I wanted to play professional sports my entire life. There's no way on God's green earth that my talent level, my genetics, my size, my shape, my speed, whatever, was going to allow me to do that. I was very aware of my limits. This doesn't mean I didn't succeed to a certain point, but it means I got to a certain level. And I was like, okay, that's it. Now I didn't get pissed off at people. I didn't scream and yell. I didn't want my participation trophy. I didn't want to be regaled for the kid that tried the hardest. Like, we're so scared sometimes to identify our limits. And when you identify the limits, you get the best out of everything. You really do. Doesn't mean you can't improve the limits. Doesn't mean you can't learn. Doesn't mean you can't grow. But I'm not going to take a Toyota Camry and try to drive Baja with it. Why? Because it doesn't belong there. It doesn't work there. In theory, can I turn the car on and drive out in the sand? Sure, I can. I can't be pissed off if the car crashes. I can't be pissed off if the car doesn't go anywhere. Why? Because that's not what it's programmed for. But that Camry could run for 10, 15, 20 years. A little bit of maintenance, changing the tires, have the best gas efficiency. There you go. Highlight those particular aspects that you have. Everyone has them. We all come with a skill set. Don't be afraid to identify the skill set. The way in which we identify it, therein lies our reflection. Therein lies our problem. Oh my God, you're so awful at. Well, now I feel like crap. Now I don't want to do anything. How do we reach this level of emotional maturity? How do we foster this self-worth that isn't conditional? I'm going to be good, but you're only good if you do this. You're only good if you follow the rules. You're only good if you help and do blah, 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 blah. Look, these are all noble things, but we were all, for the most part, raised with a specific set of standards that maybe they applied, maybe they didn't apply, but we've taken it on as this mantra, this learning, this mentality. And if internally we don't live up to it, then we shouldn't be acknowledged for it. Who cares I showed up to work every single day? Who cares I showed up to school? Now I missed 2 days, but well, the other time I was super duper good. You've got to be proud and secure and happy for the fact that you get up every single day and you show up for yourself. Murphy button, boom, boom, boom. I still gotta get that drop, right? Like, It doesn't mean you're gonna have crappy days. You're gonna have crappy days. You can have off days. You're gonna have days that you're just completely removed and just don't want to engage, whatever. You get your mental health day? Of course you do. Mental health is huge. Do you get your physical recovery health day? Sure you do. As long as these days are being used in a healthy manner, right? If they're not being used in a healthy manner, I'm taking it off day, mental health, I'm getting bombed, so I get to show up to work tomorrow hungover. Yeah, you might want to rethink that. Not saying you can't do it. That's not the point of the program. You're proud of how you showed up. You're enforcing internally the habits, the disciplines, the priority practices that work for you and resonate with you. You can be proud of your accomplishments without the trinket. The trinket is like the icing on the cake. It's the cherry on top of the sundae. It's the Jimmies or the Sprinkles if you're from the Midwest, right? Like those things are awesome. But just because you don't get the trinket doesn't mean you're worthless. Doesn't mean that you have zero value. Well, they didn't like my stuff. Nobody liked my post. I'm not putting it out there for you. And in a sense, it's great if you acknowledge it. I want you to acknowledge it. I want you to interact with it. I want you to feel and share the same thing that I'm feeling, sharing, experiencing. But I'm confident in the fact that I enjoyed this. I succeeded. How do you then debunk this idea that bad self judgment that you have for yourself? Because 9 times out of 10, the environment in which we grow up in, educators, peers, siblings, parents, elders, they establish this. And by no fault of their own, some fault of their own. Boom, boom, Murphy button. These are the standards, practice, and the way things were. Children should be seen and not heard. Don't speak unless you're spoken to. Unless you get XYZ grades, you don't get this. If you do that, that's getting taken away from you. Are there consequences for actions? Absolutely. Are there consequences for being lazy and not engaging? Absolutely. Have it in real life. Have it when you go to your 9 to 5. You show up to work, you don't do crap, they're going to notice. You goof off all day, you play solitaire all day, they're going to notice. Get into yourself a second. Here's the deep part digging of our conversation. When you sit there and you're getting ready to critique and judge yourself because you didn't get the gold sticker, you didn't get the little scratch and sniff guy. Like they were the best, man. They were the best. Like all the gold stars, silver stars, and whatever they were. But those scratch and sniff stickers, they were perfect. They were just love them. Some of them smell like crap. Other ones really really cool. But who or what? Like what's the voice? Who's the voice that you're hearing? You're hearing in your own head because you're saying it to yourself. Man, I really got to do this. I've been slacking off. I'm being lazy. Oh, I'm not pulling my weight. Oh, I really got to bear down. Oh, I got to be more responsible. Oh, if I only did a little bit more, if I worked a little harder, stayed up a little bit. Whose voice is it? Where's the criticism coming from? Is it because someone's teasing you? Is it because an overbearing voice from a parent? Was it a teacher saying to you, "You're never going to be that when you grow up. Figure it out." You know how many athletes come back and say that? Like, man, I went to my teacher and I said I was going to play professional ball. And they were like, Mr. So and so, Miss So and so. That's childish. That's foolish. That's their own self doubt thrown out on you. Granted, do we acknowledge our efforts? Yeah. Do we acknowledge our limits? Yeah. But we're not here to kill dreams. That needs to come from a place of maturity. It needs to come from a place of growth. Someone else's insecurity projected onto us early on. Someone's insecurity projected onto us in adult, mature relationships. And the part of us feels like, well, we got to be there. We got to stay put and we got to fix it. We got to make it work out and it'll be okay. And I'm going to take it on and everything will be good. And then the criticism comes in, or then the judgment comes in, or then the shortcoming come in. And who takes the brunt of it? You do. Why? Because you're conditioned that way. So how do you know your worth? How do you actually, tangibly, in front of you, that you can touch, taste, and feel, get these things cleared up or begin to? Take a breath. Try to take a moment for yourself and separate the fact from the feeling, right? If you are factually a good person, if you are factually showing up, if you are factually doing everything to the best of your ability in the environment and circumstances that you find yourself in, then you're not failing. You're not failing. Maybe someone else is, and they're projecting that stuff on you. Well, I'm not getting the recognition at work. Are you proud of your work? You confident in your work? You honing your craft? You moving your education forward? Training? Becoming a better version of you all around? Is something objectively true? Am I really a lazy ass? I could be. Maybe I am. Maybe I complain too much. Maybe that's my whole victim mentality. Maybe I'm a martyr. Maybe, I kind of give, half. Like Peter, man. I do just enough not to get fired. Or is it just an emotional familiarity? Is it something that you're just so used to, so conditioned to? You've seen the example over and over. Well, someone that's I'm in a relationship with should always talk down to me. They should always put me in my place. They should always provide for me and hold things over me. Why? Well, because that's what you saw. That's what you came up around. Maybe that was the model and the example. Again, not throwing anybody under the bus because everyone's situation is different. Everyone's story is different. But you're going to be mature. You're going to grow. You're going to have self reflection. You're going to have self affirmation. And your self judgment isn't going to be toxic. It's going to be authentic. It's going to be real. And it's going to be honest. So, how then, in those moments, do we politely for ourselves identify these things? Honesty. You know, I might not be the lazy ass everyone says I am. I might not always be the one who isn't motivated or is a bump on a log or a mooch or whatever it is. Mature. I struggle with motivating myself at times, especially when I feel overwhelmed with. This causes me to feel overwhelmed. Identify these things. Like identification is a huge, huge trait in your emotional maturity. Huge because it builds this cognitive flexibility, kids. Right? It lets you look at a situation and say, you know what? I always thought it was that way. But guess what? It really isn't. It's not who I am, right? If you're not out there, you're not involved. If you're not taking part of it every single day, then you're never going to get ahead. You're never going to figure it out. You're allowed to rest. Give yourself permission to rest. You're not failing to meet expectations. Again, are there quantifiable expectations that are there in a cumulative manner for productive work and duties? Yeah, absolutely. But we're talking people here. You're not failing. You're learning. You're growing. What did Bob say? Happy little accidents. You are a worthy individual of yourself and everything that comes with it. You don't have to be perfect. No one is perfect. If everyone was perfect, man, that would suck. That would just straight up suck. I mean, who would we talk about? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No. But when you identify these things, you can then begin to personally identify in a good way these affirmations to yourself. I show up. I give my all. I've got good character, good integrity. I'm going to be on time. I'm going to be responsible. My habits, things that I do to make me a better version of me, they're going to be reflective of where I want to go and where I want to grow and what I want to grow into. It's not always about how you're feeling at this particular moment, because that moment will pass. This too shall pass. But where do you want to go? You don't put the seed in the ground and pull the fruit the same day. It just doesn't work that way. So how can we formulate a little bit of these things? Because we talk about it and talk about it, but let's really get into it. Every morning when you get up, and this is a difficult practice to begin, but an easy one to maintain. I've done my best the last week or so, specifically trying to put the phone away from where I'm sleeping. There's a whole bunch of reasons why, stuff like that. But so it's not the first thing I grab when I get up. When you wake up, you should say one thing good to yourself or about what is going on out loud each morning. Because internally, we're just like, I feel good today. It's going to be a great day. And like internally, we hear it in our heads, right? We're trying to convince ourselves that, hey, if I say it long enough in my head over and over and over, I guess it'll be okay. We don't learn and hear by osmosis. If we did, completely different world. I would have read the complete works of Shakespeare, would have read everything in the Canterbury Tales 4 times over because I enjoy it all. Not the case, right? It's active engagement. It's auditory. Speak it out loud. Speak it out loud. Let yourself hear yourself, not listen to yourself. Because when we listen to ourselves, what do we listen to? I'm feeling good. I'm going to have a great day. Yeah, but I got this going on. There's that bill over there. And I got to pick. And then you spin and spin and spin and spin and spin. In the evening time, whenever it is, doesn't have to be all the time. Pick up your phone. Well, Apple people, you got notes. Samsung, got notes, whatever else in it. You got voice notes, whatever the hell it is. Jot down one thing that you did during the day that lined up with where you're going, where you're growing, and how you want to be with your values. It could be simple, right? Because no one else is going to give you that recognition. But if you felt good because you stopped and you waited to hold the door for somebody, put it down. Oh, that's what I was told. And if I don't do that, then I'm a bad kid. No, 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 no. No, you're not a bad kid. You're being considerate. You're being mature. You're doing it out of the goodness of your heart. You're not just doing it because you want everyone else and their brother to recognize it, but you need to reaffirm it to yourself that, hey, look, when I walk back over the month and I said to myself, look, yeah, I am doing the right thing. I am being good. I held the door a couple days a week, picked some stuff off the sidewalk. Maybe I brought somebody something extra for lunch. Yeah, like I'm contributing. No one else needs to know about it. You're not gonna sit there and beat the drum with it. If you do, go back to the beginning where you're not gonna get the damn trophy. But internally, you got to feel good about it. Once you do that, and practice becomes habit, habit is born out of the discipline. You are going to be so on fire, so on fire. Challenge the legacy ideas in your head. My parents were great. My whatever was great. My teacher was great. Whatever it was. Time, place, accountability, working with the best. Now, I'm not going to talk about building the pyramids because obviously they had a certain amount of tools we didn't have. But you can't ask individuals who aren't aware of particular ways, means, and tools to be anything that they're not. You can't, right? That's where you take it with a grain of salt. You just do. You have to. Oh, well, why is so and so like that? Well, you should point out that to the old man curmudgeon over there that that's not the way it is. Yeah, you can. You can. And you can wrap yourself around it and go into a tizzy and beat the drum and stammer away. Or you could be like, yeah, you know, I understand where he came from. I don't necessarily agree with it. It may not be right. So now on my journey, I'm going to make sure that I'm doing everything to maybe offset that or be a better version. That's it. Instead of getting on social media like, look at this guy, look at this girl, unbelievable how this happened. Oh. Is it making you a better person? You feeling good about yourself? Come on. Reclaim your future by getting rid of these crappy voices inside your head. The only way you're going to get rid of those voices in your head is if you replace them with a healthier voice. You are the healthier voice. You individually are the one that programs yourself. You get up and it's going to be a day. Guess what? 9 times out of 10, it's going to be like that. Why? You set it up. You set it up, man. Like you're putting it out there for it. Universe is going to answer you. Universe isn't dumb. The energy and the people around you aren't dumb. They're going to feel it. They're going to see it. How then can we, little by little, maybe some examples, build up this little practice of a healthy self-recognition in ourselves, kind of getting rid of this old toxic judgment. It's in our brain that we hear the little voice from, the teachers and the parents. Take a moment. A little bit of reflection. You're riding on the train, sitting in the car, pay attention while you're driving. Having a moment before you sit down and you have that glass of wine healthy before you put your program on, maybe while you jump in the shower. You got to activate yourself and actively rewire how you are going to judge yourself. You're not going to get rid of the standards. You're not going to get rid of the values. You're not going to get rid of the metrics. But you're going to get rid of that voice that says, if you're not doing that, you're a failure. If you don't show up, you're lazy. All these little self-criticisms that we put on ourselves. I look at myself in the mirror, I'm so fat. Well, guess what? You're going to be fat. I don't feel so bad. Okay. Now, granted, Murphy button, yeah, we know all the medical problems get that. We all deal with it, self included. But if we continue to reinforce that and continue to live within these mantras of negativity, we are going to have a negative outlook, a negative disposition, and a negative life. So, make notes of what you did, specifically things that you did that aligned with your values. Simple things, big things, even if nobody notices, because you should be noticing. Remember, you're rewiring your brain. You read it, you say it, you speak it, you're going to hear it, not just listen to it. Did you show up for yourself? Did you not show up for yourself? Were you lazy? Were there times that you mailed it in? Did you do it for yourself? What things in your life, your habits, your values, your beliefs are yours? What are really, really yours? Like stuff like not the inherited one where like, oh, you were born and raised Catholic, you were born and raised Methodist, and you must be this way, da da da. Okay. I choose to practice this way. I believe this way. This is my personal relationship with people, places, things, entities. Right? What do you feel that you struggle with every single day that is an inherited toxic trait or an inherited self-judgment that eats at you and holds you back from being the complete full version of who you are. When you speak to yourself, how would you like that to be? Would you like criticism? Would you like you didn't meet the goals? Or would you speak to yourself like a coach, a mentor, a yogi, a guru, whatever? What part of yourself, taking in all of these factors, do you over criticize? We all do. We all have one or two things that we super duper lay into ourselves for. We do. Everybody does it. Don't sit there and say you don't. You're not being honest with yourself because we do. Maybe instead of the criticism, maybe you need to show yourself a little compassion. Oh, yeah, you're not taking the low road. You're not taking the easy way out. But obviously, the self criticism hasn't worked. Maybe you need to go another way. Are you someone that learns from your effort, from your journey, from the progress, not just the end? Yay, I'm a champion. It's great. People will tell you, specifically in sports, the crowning achievement, the championships, are what? It's the culmination of all those little practices, all those games, the journey, the day in, the day out, the travel, the late nights, the early mornings. And they'll appreciate that journey more. This isn't being selfish. The the trophy, the championship, whatever, that's sort of like where they've had the acknowledgement of like, yeah, the journey was good. But you have to have reward in that journey. You gotta have value in that journey. Did you learn from it? Did you grow? Are you a better person? Or are you just looking to tick the box? Am I being good to myself in the little things that I do and gain every single day? Even when I don't hear the likes and get the hearts and beat the drum or the gold stickers and stars. Are you making a life for yourself? Oh, there you go. Are you making a life for yourself that's true? That reflects like who you are, where you want to be, where you want to go. Are you building that? Or are you kind of just coasting? You just listening to what's in the back of your head? Still holding up to standards that aren't your standards? Are you ready to let go of these voices, the shameful voices, the ones who anchor you down in a negative way? Are you ready to write your own language, your own story? What works for you? What's valuable to you? You're being a good person. You're doing things the right way. You're showing up. You got worthiness. You got kindness. You express it. You give it to everyone else. Give it to yourself. And last but not least, and I think this is the most important thing. If you didn't have to prove anything to anyone at any time, any place, right? What what type of person would you let yourself become or let yourself be? Like that's deep, man. Think about that. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. And you could just be you. What type of person would you allow yourself to be? No constraints, no boxes, no judgments, no metrics. How would you go about that? What would you do? What would you be? Would you step through that doorway? Or just sit there and look from the outside? Because I don't know about you, but we've seen, specifically in the last couple days, how fleeting life can be. You look up and down your timeline, you put on the television, see the news, You get your little text alerts, friends, grandparents, sisters, brothers, uncles. Gone in a minute. Gone in a minute. Live your life with the voice that resonates healthy, wholly, and positively with yourself. Let yourself be that true, honest, best version of you. Doors closes, another one opens. People are going to be left behind. People are going to come with you and step through. Growth means letting go. Growth means taking on. It's never going to be this completely awesome, perfect, euphoric, seamless transition or this evolution. That's not how it works. Out of an act of, God or higher power, our own personal reflection, affirmation, effort, it's what it takes. And we've got to get out of our own way in order for that to really come into itself. Get rid of the old voices. Program yourself in a way with your voice, a positive voice, a healthy voice. So, if you could be anything, the truest version of yourself, and didn't have to prove anything to anybody, how would you do it? Would you do it? Would you want to do it? I want to thank everybody for joining me on another episode of Ain't That Right? Shout out to G Love Special Sauce, opening music, Ain't That Right? Garrett's great guys on tour right now. Be sure to check him out, glove.com. Patronize, got a great Christmas album, great family guy. Shout out. Love you, brother. Please, everyone, enjoy your weekend. Have a safe and healthy weekend. We'll be back next week on Tuesday. Getting ready for that USA Thanksgiving. Can't wait. Gobble, gobble. Huge Thanksgiving guy. Totally enjoy the Thanksgiving Day parade. Philadelphia one. Sorry for the Macy's people. I know it's a big thing with the balloons, but I like the Philly parade. Santa used to come down and used to climb up the ladder into the window of this department store, all that kind of stuff. So it's good nostalgia. I enjoy it. I like it. Kids love it. Um, Always lots of Dunkin', so works for me, right? See you guys next Tuesday. Same bat time, same bat station.